Because I know you better than anyone. I know you down to your bones. It's amusing that you think you chose to kill your own daughter. You don't even have a choice in your own grief.
Who the fuck are you?
Your oldest friend.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my Westworld Season 3, Episode 4 video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing an HBO Now giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the episode on the video. So, of course, spoiler warning, if you have not seen the episode yet, we'll do top 10 WTF and Easter eggs as we go along, starting with number 10. The title of the episode, The Mother of Exiles, is a reference to the Man in Black who begins the episode with that big montage. He exiled himself, quote unquote, at least we think that he exiled himself after last season. It's also a reference to Maeve and Dolores, who are literal and metaphorical mothers to all the exiled hosts in that digital data that Serac wants to get his hands on. All the people that Dolores has access to through the key that Serac wants so badly. But they open with a big montage of everything that's happened to the Man in Black so far, but it seems like he's being pushed through a lot of his memories, so they're making you wonder whether or not he's real or he's a host. That's a big theme through the episode, his identity. He's going through so many traumatic memories, a vision of his daughter starts taunting him, so you start to wonder if this is Dolores just manipulating him. There was a big post-credit scene at the end of Season 2 that was implied it was happening at some point in the future where he was running through iterations of a maze. It was meant to be a version of what happened to Jim Delos, them testing for fidelity and the idea that the Man in Black may be a more perfect version of a human copy that they had been trying to create this whole time and just hadn't quite got there yet. Number 9, Charlotte's plan to stop Serac from stealing the company. So she tries to get the help of the Man in Black because she needs his voting power and needs his help in winning over the board so that she can take Delos private to prevent Serac from buying it. This is all when we still think that this is Charlotte for most of the episode. We know that there's another host inside her, but we didn't find out till the end of the episode which Pearl was inside her. When you rewatch the episode, knowing who is inside Charlotte, it makes their conversations and her dialogue that much better. Come back, William. Come back to who you were. Obviously, that's a reference to him becoming the Man in Black again, because it's completely destroyed his house here. It seems like he's still trying to deal with the grief of his daughter's death. Then there's the added twist of him not knowing whether or not he's real or if he's a host. The really cool thing about this, too, is that it means that Charlotte Dolores has also been playing Serac. Remember in the previous episode, your time is running out. We don't know if Serac knows that Charlotte really isn't Charlotte. It seems like he knows so much that he isn't letting on, so he's probably a little bit suspicious of Charlotte. But it's also a funny joke paying off the Man in Black's comments at the beginning of the episode too. Maybe you're the mole, because turns out Charlotte really was the mole, but this isn't really Charlotte anymore. It's Dolores pretending to be Charlotte. But number 8, Bernard and Stubbs. So Bernard is starting to hallucinate memories of his son Charlie as he goes back to see Stubbs in the motel that they're staying at. They reveal that they swam the entire way back to the mainland. Swam 5 miles. Even though we saw him go over the balcony at the Eyes Wide Shut party, that doesn't mean that his body has been completely destroyed. So I think that Stubbs is still in play. They did a good job of cutting this episode and the different storylines together because you have their suit-up montage, then you have Caleb's suit-up montage with Dolores. But number 7, Dolores and Caleb's plan to steal all the money. So it wasn't really clear whose money they were stealing till later in the episode, but they were basically stealing all of Liam's money. They're using that money to take Delos private. That's their quote-unquote outside investor. And remember, this is a giant, giant company, so it is a massive sum of money. When they go to the bank, Dolores has this whole big joke about how it's easier to steal from the super rich because they're so used to having money, they just assume that they'll always have it. I really love the way she just casually tears through all the different people through the episode when she needs something from them, like when she gets the businessman that she needs the blood from so that they can actually get the money. But number 6, this is actually a big one. Serac explains his backstory, or at least some of his backstory, and you get some motivation for why he's doing all these things. Why he's this evil version of Mark Zuckerberg collecting everyone's data with the crazy version of Facebook. That's kind of what they're doing with the Rehoboam storyline, collecting people's data before there were data privacy laws. When he's talking about what happened to Paris with Maeve, oh, I would love to take you there, but sadly, it doesn't exist anymore. It just implies in the flashbacks that there was some sort of nuclear attack. They didn't say who attacked, just that it's been destroyed. It's basically another Chernobyl now. Even in the distant future, apparently they don't have the technology for getting rid of all that radioactive waste. Since we haven't seen his brother, it's kind of implied that he lost his family during that attack, and that just informs why he's so bent on controlling the future by controlling humanity, and in order to do that, he created Rehoboam to study human behavior before privacy laws were enacted and collect data from everything that they'd ever done. The more data that Rehoboam collects, the more accurate its models of the future become, which is why he needs the special data that only Dolores has access to from inside the park. Little did I know, Ford inside the park had a more complete version of the human mind. There are a couple moments during this whole interrogation scene that paint him a little bit more as a villain. So even though Dolores kind of seemed like the villain after last season, really they're just trying to show you that everybody's just as terrible as the other side. Some people are more terrible than others. Like Maeve isn't that terrible. She just wants to get back to her daughter and she's being forced to help Serac. But it's really a battle for the future, as Serac said, between Serac and Dolores. And the really cool thing that he does here, he says, oh, I don't have to hurt him, I just want to show him how terrible the world can be. This is a total power move that makes him seem even more evil than if he would have just flat out killed him to begin with. What he does is he actually shows him a projection of the possible future that Rehoboam has charted for what could eventually happen to his family, die horribly. So he's showing him a potential future darkest timeline for his family, which is as cold as ice. And I think the scene works even better because they don't show you what he's watching on those monitors. You're just left to wonder what is the worst possible thing you could show someone happening to their family. Number 5, the teaser for the 5 separate hosts and the 5 different pearls. So obviously there's a big reveal at the end of the episode as to who the regular hosts are in all those bodies. But remember, there's the special red pearl, which is supposed to be Arnold's backup inside the Bernard host. I think that is a little bit to do with the whole Hulk banner of it all when he's trying to switch back between his host mode and his regular conscious mode. Who's Bernard? Who's Arnold? You also kind of wondered though, because of that red pearl, maybe that is the Man in Black's pearl. But then number 4, Maeve versus the Yakuza. So this is actually a pretty cool fight. You get to see her use her powers in the real world, sort of affecting the technology all around her as she's walking through the streets of Singapore. She takes over all the Yakuza's guns, making them take each other out. Then she also gets into a big fight with Musashi. So it seems like Dolores printed Musashi's body and then put one of her pearls inside it. If it wasn't clear who this was, it's not really Musashi, it's just Dolores in Musashi's body, which she printed inside Arnold's printer back at his house in the mainland where they went. Number 3 was that Eyes Wide Shut crazy party, so it gets really ridiculous here, but you probably detected the Ramin Djawadi Wicked Games cover. Every season he does a really big music cover of a pop song. This was Wicked Games, and obviously it's meant to be a play on the Eyes Wide Shut party, but also Dolores and Bernard playing their quote-unquote wicked games going for Liam at the party. They also introduced the special designer drug at the party. They kind of play it off as a joke later, but I think it has something to do with what's going on with the Man in Black at the end of the episode. The joke being that Liam's friends feel like they're tripping so hard, then that's why they're seeing Dolores. Wait a minute, we thought that you were dead. Stubbs goes out like a champ. Like I said, because we didn't see his body, we just saw him go over the rail, he's probably going to come back fine. But number 2, the big Dolores reveal. So we find out simultaneously the way they cut through each of the different scenes with the different groups, that each of the different hosts that have been walking around working with Dolores this season are actually just copies of Dolores herself. All those pearls, with the exception of the red one, which is the human backup, are Dolores herself. This is something straight out of the Matrix, where you see Smith start copying himself going up against Neo. I guess in this scenario, Maeve would be the Neo because she can also control technology in the quote-unquote Matrix construct of it all. Dolores also reveals her plan with the Man in Black to get him committed so that she can control all of his shares and she won't need his help to take Delos private. And number 1, of course, is obviously that tag scene at the end with the Man in Black padding around his cell, reminding you of what happened to Jim Delos at the end of Season 2, and also that scene with the Man in Black showing back up like it had been several times that he had come back to this place on a loop, like a host.
How many times have you tested me?
It's been a long time, William. Longer than we thought. I have a few questions for you. The last step's a baseline interview to allow us to verify.
Verify what?
Fidelity.
Dolores makes the comparison that he's in his version of the maze. You found the center, but it's all about understanding, and you still don't understand anything. Obviously, the question that she's referring to when she's talking to him asks the question that you've wanted me to ask, is whether or not I'm me, whether or not he's a host, or if he's real. The way they play this is actually really interesting because they go from this tight shot to the wide shot and there's no one there, as if he's talking to a hallucination or someone digitally put inside his head. Here's the thing about that though. Remember, when Charlotte, Dolores, was having him committed, she tagged him with that special spike on her hand, so she might have jacked him up with some special drugs to make him hallucinate that, or implanted him with some device so that he would see her talking to him. So it doesn't necessarily confirm that he's a host. I think the idea is that he's still supposed to be real, but Dolores wants him to think that he's a host. But everyone, let me know in the comments, do you think that the Man in Black is real, or do you think that he's a host based on what they said during the episode? My episode 5 video will post next week. Leave all your video requests in the comments below. There's been a bunch of big things happening with movies and TVs and delays because of the virus, so as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you should see all the videos when I post them. Everyone, click here for all my Westworld episode videos, and click here for my brand new Venom 2 teaser video and Spider-Man Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.